Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So finally we have Cosmic Ghost Rider abilities revealed, and he does look quite interesting reimagination of Ghost Rider, obviously, right? So his prestige is quite solid and nothing groundbreaking there. He is a Cosmic Champion, and that makes sense obviously with him being Herald. Just to make sure that yeah, previously it was speculated he might be Mystic, but no, obviously he's Cosmic. Now he has immunity to bleed and incinerate, and he has also access to a whole plethora of different buffs and a lot of armor break debuffs and some fate seal and stuff like that. Effectively, he works pretty much exactly like Ghost Rider, just with a new set of abilities. Plus, he has like the one thing I think that kind of ties it all together, which Ghost Rider, original Ghost Rider, was lacking, and that is some sort of beneficial impact once your judgments expire. There are obviously some differences, but basic idea. Let's just go through it all step by step. Right, so against villain champions, he has the Penance there, where he starts the fight with an indefinite armor break debuff on the opponents, reducing their armor by 700%. So this is just a flat increase against villains, like Ghost Rider should, obviously, his Penance there and stuff. But yeah, now he has many different set of abilities. When Cosmic Ghost Rider triggers Armor Up, Fury, Precision, Cruelty, Power Gain, Unblockable, Vigilance, or Aptitude buffs, he also has 100% chance to gain corresponding Judgment. So that is basically the same part as the original Ghost Rider, where you gain a Judgment and you gain an effect for that. Each Judgment can only be stacked a single time but lasts indefinitely. Same as the OG Ghost Rider. Each judgment increases the duration of any buff trigger by 20%. While you have 5 judgments in place, this bonus is doubled. So every following judgment gains more potency, just like Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider once gained duration, and yeah, this one as well. Upon gaining any 5 or more judgments, there is a 100% chance to place a power lock debuff on the opponent for 4 seconds. And this is kind of like where the difference starts. So once you hit 5 judgments, any 5 judgments, then you place a power lock on opponent for 4 seconds. And after this power lock ends or it fails to apply, all judgments on the opponent are converted to armor break debuffs, reducing their armor rating by 1130 for 10 seconds and removing an armor up buff. So basically, once your judgment expires, you gain a bunch of armor breaks on opponent, and thus ability to significantly increase your damage, which kind of like should help you also streamline, because obviously you're going to have access to cruelty buffs, precision buffs, fury buffs, or what have you, as you are triggering these judgments. And then once they expire, the opponents get a lot of these armor break debuffs, and you basically still maintain or even increase your damage output, which is the bit which Ghost Rider kind of lacked. Once you used up your judgments initially, you had to build up to level 3 and then wait for level 3 to expire in order to get going again. But I think now this ability is going to give this Cosmic Ghost Rider kind of like sense of continuity in the fight, where you kind of like fluently move from one set of judgments to the next one, not kind of like particularly waiting for something. Cosmic Ghost Rider gains a Fate Seal debuff. He removes all of his judgments and he cannot trigger new ones until it ends. That's fair enough. And first judgment would be when attacked, when struck, if the judgment of armor is not active, 100% chance to trigger an armor up buff, granting 900% armor for 10 seconds. So this one is when you get hit. Offensively, there is obviously not too many safe ways how to trigger this one. Might not be kind of like the most fundamentally important one. Obviously, when you're facing up against Ghost Rider, this is going to be the one that you always trigger immediately. But there is a Man-Thing synergy for this guy, where when you are charging your heavy attack, you go unstoppable for like half second. So that might be the best way you can try and get hit on purpose. And then obviously, because you're unstoppable, the heavy attack would kind of like unleash, execute, you would trigger the heavy attack judgment and gain this armor buff as well. But yeah, it's not going to be the most offensive ability. And then we have your standard finish a 5-hit combo with a medium attack. You gain Vigilance. Vigilance basically gives you 100% chance to prevent missing, well, all of the phasing stuff. So that is quite useful because it's very quick access. Just drop one combo with a medium attack finish, and you get Vigilance. Now, initially it's 10 seconds, but obviously if you stack it later, you're gonna get increased duration. So there might be a rotation where you can pretty much have this buff active for vast majority of the time. And that is noteworthy, I'd say, at the very least. I like the fact that it's one of the easier to access buffs should you need it, but it can also serve as one of the throwaway buffs if you, well, what I mean by throwaway is you sometimes tactically activate the buffs that you don't particularly need in order to increase the duration of the ones that you want to follow up with. Anyways, so finish 5-hit combo with light attack, you gain a very small but potent power gain buff, and this is going to be like one of the key aspects of this Cosmic Ghost Rider. So basically finish a combo with light attack and you gain 75% of a bar of power over 1.25 seconds. If you extend the duration of this power gain buff, obviously you're going to be gaining a full bar or even more than that, finishing combo with light attack, so you could quickly propel yourself to a level 2 or level 3 depending on circumstances if you want to save this judgment up for later. Now, when charging a heavy attack, if the Judgment of Aptitude is not active, 100% chance to trigger Aptitude buff, increasing the potency of Armor Up, Fury, Cruelty, Precision buffs triggered by 50%. Now, this is definitely going to be one of the kind of like key things as well about him, to have this Aptitude and trigger that, let's say, Fury or Cruelty or Precision, and then how significantly more potent buff there for you does more damage. When activating a special attack, if the Judgment of Cruelty is not active, basically gain a Cruelty buff, granting 737 critical damage ratings. It's nice, it's not the biggest Cruelty, but it's definitely welcome, and it's additional buff you have access to. Now, special 1, channeling through Hellfire, blah 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 blah. On activation, Judgment of Unblockable, so you can have your level 1 go unblockable as well. Keep in mind that this will trigger the Cruelty at the same time, so there's going to be 2 judgments immediately just by dropping level 1. And then we're going to move on to special 2. On activation, Judgment of Precision, and this is a huge precision. This will make Ghost Rider crit like Stealth Suit Spider-Man. In addition to that, it's also for 15 seconds, so it lasts quite a while, and if you activate it as like a 3rd or 4th judgment, then it's going to have significantly increased duration. You're going to be critting like a nobody's business. On hit, 100% chance to apply Armor Break debuff on the opponent, so more damage. So seemingly this is going to be the one that you want to set up. Activate a massive precision buff and just go to town pretty much. And then we have special 3. Special 3 on activation basically gives you a huge Fury buff, 2876 attack for 15 seconds. Ideally, if you increase the duration to the max, I think then you can have like 30 or even more than that seconds of that Fury buff. And yeah, that should give you very, very solid damage increase as well. So it's all going to be about you picking and choosing the order of these judgments, and then additionally having the ability to armor break the opponent once they expire. And signature ability basically is gonna make him a defensive, not powerhouse, but definitely much more scary on defense. The Power Lock debuff triggered when reaching 5 judgments is upgraded to a Damnation debuff, dealing 2877 damage over 5 seconds. Opponents under Damnation are also Power Locked, Heal Blocked, and Fate Sealed. Now, here is the problem kind of like thing. If he gets to 5 judgments on defense, you're gonna have this Damnation debuff on you, and you're gonna be immediately taking this 2877 damage, which is likely going to scale. Now, it could be very easy for him to actually gain the 5 judgments, I think, because getting hit is 1. Then when he's charging heavy attack, if he ever attempts to charge heavy attack, would be 2. Activating any special attack would be 3. And then obviously you have the special 1 and special 2. So typically, unless you have ability to nullify his buffs or judgments or restrict Ghost Rider somehow, if you let him use 2 different special attacks, he or eat a combo and he finishes that combo with light and medium, then he's gonna get to the 5th judgment, and you're gonna have this damnation debuff placed on you with power lock, heal block, and fate seal, and damage over time. So he could be quite scary because he could be a champion where if you mess up, you're gonna mess up completely, and he's gonna just wreck you. Because yeah, if that damage scales, and if you're fighting somebody with like 300-400% attack bonus, then yeah, it could be very, very, very poor. Okay, so synergy bonuses. Cosmic Ghost Rider again, plus 50% buff duration if you have no judgments active on the opponent. So this is with the original Ghost Rider. So this could potentially be very useful if you want to have like an aggressive start with that power gain. I'm not entirely sure what are going to be his best rotations, obviously, but it could be kind of important in case it does come into play significantly within his rotation. And Ghost Rider increased Fury buff duration by 100%. This is actually quite huge, I think, because with 100% increase to that Fury buff, which you could already make significantly long during the fight, I think Ghost Rider will get quite big damage increase, in addition to the fact that Ghost Rider is now going to be Incinerate immune. I can potentially see Ghost Rider see some resurgence in Alliance Quest, for instance. Incinerate immunity alone could kind of provide that, but hey, Ghost Rider really could benefit from any damage increase he can get. Now he has synergy with Heralds of Galactus. Once per fight, dash back and hold block for 1.2 seconds. The next judgment you attempt to trigger has minus 100% ability accuracy. And this probably will have some interesting implications where you can alter rotations or have access to more of the judgments that you trigger without special attacks. Or it does sound like a downside initially, but once we all are going to really get into his rotations, I think it could help potentially really interesting uses and ability to provide you with more control. Now with Night Thrasher, Cosmic Ghost Rider increased armor break debuff duration by 35%. That's cool because you will be able to stack like 5-6 armor breaks on opponent, and increased duration on them obviously is going to help you capitalize on them more because you're going to have ability to trigger more judgments meanwhile, thus increase your damage output while these armor breaks are active, and hopefully it does lead to kind of like a meaningful damage increase. Night Thrasher is the last hit of heavy attack, refresh 1 active town debuff. This isn't really too useful, to be honest, for Night Thrasher because heavy attacks is how you gain town debuffs anyways, and I don't know, this seems kind of like a relatively pointless synergy, to be honest. And there are a couple of scenarios where it could be useful, but as somebody who plays Night Thrasher a lot, honestly, this sounds quite useless. It might be helpful in like 1 out of 15 fights where you have a bad RNG. Okay, Cosmic Bane of Evil with Man-Thing. This is the one that I was talking about before. On heavy charge, gain 100% chance to trigger an unstoppable buff lasting half second, then going on cooldown for 10 seconds. And yeah, so this is the way how you can get hit on purpose without huge ramifications of that. And Man-Thing gain 5 agitation whenever you nullify a buff. This could actually be huge for Man-Thing because obviously you place all of your own postules on opponent, you consistently pop them, and agitation gives you more damage. And yeah, it could, well, obviously don't think it's going to propel Man-Thing into kind of like massive damage dealer, but it is a nice buff to have for Man-Thing, and I will want to kind of like test it out and compare the difference with and without the synergy, because I do enjoy playing Man-Thing. And then you have a synergy with Punisher 2099. Cosmic Ghost Rider, first time your opponent reaches max power, each fight drain 5% of that power and trigger a power lock debuff lasting 2 seconds. So that's kind of like anti-level 3 prevention. And then we have Punisher 2099. Heavy attacks have a 100% chance to grant a Fury buff, increasing attack rating by 25% for 20 seconds. And now here it's gonna be make or break time for Punisher 2099, in my opinion, because I did test out the buff, and he actually does have a solid 150% damage increase after the buff. So effectively, his damage output has more than doubled. However, he still doesn't hit that hard, but if he can have this kind of like cheese spam method of heavy attacks consistently stunning the opponent, and you having these fury buffs stack, could be very, very interesting. Because sometimes with Punisher 2099, you can drop like 8 heavy attacks in a row or whatever, and then if you have like 100-200% increase of attack plus the overload damage increase, which is 150%, could let him really, really open up and do some nice damage. Like overall, so the first and obvious thing that this Ghost Rider in particular is missing compared to the old version would be healing. One of the kind of like biggest strong points of the original Ghost Rider was his regeneration and his sustainability, and we don't have any of that here anymore. Other than that, he has access to many different buffs. Unfortunately, access to Fury, Cruelty, Precision. They're nice, they definitely help his damage output, which is very important. But their superficial abilities, Fury, Precision, Cruelty, all are damage output themed abilities, same as Armor Break. Outside of Incinerate Immunity and Vigilance, which prevents miss but doesn't work on Auto Block, Unstoppable, so on and so forth. Again, I don't really see why would I want this champion. He does look interesting. It does look like something that people are going to have to figure out the best rotations, just like we did with original Ghost Rider. But the saving grace of original Ghost Rider definitely 100% was the heal. Now, this champion will function very, very much like the old Ghost Rider with no healing abilities. There are definitely the upsides. The power gain is an interesting ability, the fact that you armor break the opponent, and I do think he's likely going to have a decent damage output. But again, I don't really see too great of a need or reason to have this champion over most of the good cosmic champions. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but he definitely is not a champion that I will really hunt for or would consider grinding for or will try to open many Cavalry Crystals for. Fortunately, it does seem that when it comes to Heralds, we haven't gotten kind of like the strongest representation power level wise. But still, out of all of the Heralds, he arguably looks like, I want to say best one, but I actually think that Silver Surfer might be better as a champion overall. So we're gonna have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited for this guy? Do you have any idea what are going to be his best rotations? With all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video. And if you did, hit that like button, hit that sub button, hit all the buttons. And I'm gonna catch you guys soon. See ya.